Hi, Donovan Woods here.
Hey, it's me, Tom Power.
We're here to tell you about our brand new podcast. It's called The Big Five.
So, Donovan, what is The Big Five?
Yeah, exactly. What is The Big Five? That's what The Big Five is all about. Every week, Tom and I will sit down with a special guest and dive into new topics, debating things like, what are the Big Five farm animals? The Big Five types of hat? The Big Five guys named Paul?
Martin, Revere, Mezcal, McCartney, John Paul II.
The debate is settled by a listener from somewhere across the country. It's like a game show.
It is a game show.
The Big Five, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
I get a call in my dorm room. Phone rings. I'm like, Mom? She's like, no.
Do you always pick up the phone? Mom?
Mama?
Do you maybe have some mama issues?
Like, dude, you have call display. You know it's not your mom. You're listening to a Pooja and Gurdeep podcast exclusive.
You won't hear this anywhere else.
Should we get into it?
Let's do it. So it's probably been, over 20 years now that you and I have been in the broadcast world.
Would it make us feel old?
But yeah, and I don't know about you, and I think it happens to you a lot because I see the students you bring in here. You get asked by students all the time, what was your big break? Like, how did you actually make it in this business? And I think for so many of us, our stories are all so different, but we also have a lot in common because it was a different time, wasn't it?
It's an interesting biz, yeah, Pooj. I mean, if you ask 10 different people on air, and by on air, that could be television, radio, what have you, you'll probably get 10 different stories. Mm-hmm. It's not a linear thing like you go to law school, you become a lawyer, you go to med school, you become a doctor. You could come from many different paths and get into this industry. It's also not an industry you fall into by accident. You know, like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. Let me just study business. And you wind up you have to very purposefully pursue this field.
Well, you actually, I was going to say, though, your education, your background, and my background is actually not in broadcast.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Many different paths, but I'm saying you have to very purposefully want this.
Yes.
No one's just going to see you on the street and be like, you should be on air.
Yeah. I mean, I think people think that there was a time when that happened, and maybe there was, but that's not how easy it was. It's a pretty tough business. I'll put it that way.
So why don't you tell us then? We're going to share the stories of how we got into the biz. How did we end up in these chairs we're sitting in now? I'm actually standing, but you get the point. What's the story for you? I don't even know if I fully know this.
I'm going to take you back to my intern days. And, back then you could have more than one internship. So I was doing plenty of internships because I knew that was the way to sort of network, to get to know news directors, to get to know the people who make those kinds of decisions. However, you realize very quickly as an intern, they don't really let you do much, right? Because nobody trusts you to do anything.
A lot of coffee runs.
Yes. So you just sort of sit in the back and watch and try to be a sponge. And I kind of knew that was the deal because we'd been told in school, like, hey, that's what the internship is. Try to get as many as you can. And I thought, well, how do I make sure if there's so many interns who are coming through this door doing the exact same thing as me, how do I make sure I'm memorable?
Right.
So I decided I wasn't going to sit back and do nothing because while they wouldn't maybe trust me to do important things that would go to air, they could trust me to do some, menial things like, cleaning up the desk, right? I would file certain stories in a filing cabinet for
putting
the person.
Away tapes in the archive when we used to have physical tapes.
Yes. So I interned for Christine Crosby. She was a health reporter, and she would have all these recipe books, just on that people would send her on her desk. I'd organize them alphabetically. I'd go through each recipe book and pick recipes that were healthy and stuff that she can use for her Food Fridays, like things that an intern would, be helpful doing, but she would never ask me to do. So I started doing all these things, and she started to be super impressed and would be like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to clean my desk. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to do this. And I'd come in the morning and I would tell her the health stories I read that morning that I thought should make it into the segment and just wanted to get her opinion.
Okay,
not because I thought she should pick them, but just get her thoughts on, my news judgment, if you will.
Right.
And she was just like blown away. She was
wasn't
floored.
like you're overstepping?
No, she was like,
lane?
This is you learning. Mm-hmm. This is you trying to understand why I pick the stories I pick. And, this wasn't me saying, this is what I think you should do. This is what I would have done. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Did she ever use any of your stories?
And she did, yeah.
That must have felt good.
Yeah. Or sometimes she'd be like, no, I wouldn't do that one because of this. And that happened a lot, too.
She's like, really, tempeh?
She's like, nobody even knows what that is. Yeah. I'm like, just wait till quinoa comes out. Just wait.
Quinoa. Yeah. Okay.
So that was great. So when my internship ended, she walked right into her boss's office, who was the news director. And she said, I'm telling you right now, this girl is going places and we have to hire her. We have to hire her. And so I got hired.
Christine Crosby went to bat for you.
She did. And thank goodness for that. I got hired behind the scenes doing a lot of these sort of menial tasks, but I was at least getting paid
You're
for
getting
it.
paid. You're a staff member.
Yeah, I was getting coffee supplies. I was rolling teleprompter. I was
You were rolling up the rim.
I was doing all the things.
People would finish their coffee. They'd be like, roll this, Pooja. I'm like,
Yes.
okay.
And it was great because I really got to be a sponge in that role of learning how a newsroom works and what all the different roles were, because you don't realize how many people it takes to put a newscast together. So it was nice to get an opportunity to do a lot of those jobs behind the scenes. Eventually, because they're paying you, they do start to trust you to do more. So I have a lot of experience behind the scenes before I even ever made it on air for that reason. After about a year of doing that, they were starting a morning show and they were looking for a traffic reporter. So I applied. And because I worked there already behind the scenes as an editorial assistant, they had to give me an interview. So I went in for the interview. It lasted all of 5 minutes.
Uh-oh. That can either be really good or really bad.
Really bad. Really bad because they asked me nothing, because clearly they were not taking me seriously as, you know, the girl who's getting the coffee supplies is not going to be the traffic reporter.
Right. And give us context. What year is this?
That was
timeline?
2003.
This is 2003. Okay, you're trying to make the jump from behind the scenes to on air. Okay.
Yes. And you know, it didn't last long. That was it. And I knew I wasn't getting the job. And in the meantime, I was volunteering at Rogers Local with Jake Deere, who actually we both worked with.
Shout out Wolfdale Road, Rogers, Mississauga.
Yes, and they offered me a paid job, which, you know, was unheard of. On air.
Okay.
So I had given my notice and I said, I'm leaving. I had got this other job. And they were like, whoa. Before you take that other job, like you're seriously being considered for the morning show.
Before you take another job, we need more coffee. Can you?
Don't forget the supplies. That's still part of your job. And so then I was like, but that's weird because I had a 5-minute interview and I'm pretty sure that nobody was interested in me. They were like, well, see, we actually offered the job to somebody else and that person turned it down.
Oh.
And now we are weeks away from launch and we don't have anyone. And when she turned it down, somebody else had mentioned that you had shown them your demo tape. So we looked at it and, you know, like they're interested. I was like, what? So I only got looked at seriously because somebody else turned it down. And that somebody else?
Yeah, I want to know. I was going to ask, who is it?
Dina Pugliese.
Oh, it was Dina who was going to take the
Dina.
job at Global, and then she went to Toronto One.
Yes. And her and I worked behind the scenes, and you know she was doing the same thing that I was doing. She was mostly in the library in the archives area, but she also applied, and they knew they were going to hire her. So that's why my interview was only 5 minutes, because they already knew who they wanted.
Okay, now here's an alternate universe question that I don't know if you'll have the answer to. Had you not made that leverage play of like walking in and being like, "Hey guys, I'm leaving because I got another on-air job," do you think they still would have come to you and said, hey, this person's leaving, we're considering you? Or do you think you kind of forced their hand and then they said, oh, we don't want to lose her?
I think at the time I was like, you know, I'm a nobody. There's no way that they're going to give me this opportunity. It's in Toronto on a morning show. Like it was really out of my sort of league in terms of my qualifications and experience. So it would be kind of nuts to put me on air. Dina had been there for a couple more years. She had a lot more experience. So I just didn't think they were looking at me that way, but maybe because somebody else was willing to hire me, that actually forced them to look deeper into what I could do and actually watch my tape.
This industry, and maybe other industries too, I don't know, but you would hope it's a meritocracy, but it's not.
It's not.
You aren't your worth is not determined by how good you are. It's determined by what somebody else is willing to pay you and the opportunity they're willing to offer you, right?
Yeah. And they had somebody in mind. They already had somebody in mind. So my interview probably wouldn't have changed anything.
Mm-hmm.
If Dina had not turned down that job, I wouldn't have got it. And, you know, I went on to be the traffic/entertainment reporter. I had my own segment and it was fantastic. It was a great 5 years and it was sort of the foundation and the building blocks to then move on from there to CP24.
Opened up other doors.
Yeah, and eventually here.
Getting to meet me, which was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Obviously.
Yeah. Didn't you have a segment on your morning show called The PH Factor?
That was the segment.
It's a great name.
Yeah, and it was sponsored, so it was like bringing in some money. So it was like really my chance to sort of, you know, make my mark on that show too and just be like, oh, I worked from behind the scenes, worked my way up. And, at one point I was rolling teleprompter
Yes.
for the talent.
Such a nerve-wracking job.
Such a
And
nerve-wracking job.
thankless and nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And now somebody was doing it for me.
Come on.
Yeah.
Can I please suggest that we bring back, is it proprietary? Can we start a segment on our show called The PH Factor?
Yes.
It's been long enough now that Global used it. Can
I'm
we
sure.
do that? That's a great name.
That's how copyright works, right?
And we'll get it sponsored. The PH Factor. We just got to come up with an
Okay,
idea.
we got to do that. And I got to tell you really quickly, I did mention this story to Dina years later.
The PH Factor. We just got to come up with an
Okay,
idea.
we got to do that. And I got to tell you really quickly, I did mention this story to Dina years later.
She's like, yeah, I don't remember.
She had no idea.
No,
She's
really?
like, no way. And I'm like, you're the reason why I'm even here. And she's
That's
like, what are
crazy.
you talking about? So she had no idea.
By the way, if you guys have an idea for what the PH Factor segment should be about, please drop it in the comments.
Oh, I like that.
We're looking for suggestions.
Okay, what about you? What was your big break?
Okay, so this might surprise you, but I've actually been in the industry now for 24, this is year 24.
Oh my.
Because I started at 19 as a newspaper writer. I wrote in newspapers for 5 years before I made the jump to television. I even did some radio before I made the jump to television. So it all started for me at McMaster University. And this is like one of those stories where, yeah, you have to have some will, some determination, some foresight, but there's also a lot of luck involved in this, right? Because you don't know if things are going to work out.
And sorry, what were you studying at McMaster?
So I did a double major here's funny you ask. I went for business initially because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Business seems safe. My brother did business. Let me go to Mac for
I'm
business.
so glad you're not in business.
Right? Wearing suits and like briefcase full of crackers and papers.
I don't think you would
know what I'm doing.
The first thing.
I'm like, sell.
I've got papers.
Yeah. So I went to Mac for Business, and there was this thing during Frosh Week, Welcome Week, your first week of school, called Clubs Fest, where all the clubs at university would have these little booths out, and you could go and see what you were interested in and sign up for things. And I had decided before I went to university that, I was a bit of a wallflower for portions of high school. I'm like, I'm going to get really involved in university. And it starts with Welcome Week. I did all the things. I was out there. And at Clubs Fest, I'm like, I'm going to go sign up for 10 things that I'm interested in. And obviously you don't have the capacity for 10 things, but I'm like, I'll go to all the meetings and I'll whittle down the ones that don't speak to me. And I'll have like maybe 3 or 4 things. And I'm going to be Mr. Campus.
Do you think they were like, buddy, these are not clubs. They're not like the clubs you think they are. Like, this Club Fest means you join a club.
This is not a nightclub.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's another story. I actually became a bartender, too, because I wanted to do that.
You did?
Yes. Didn't get hired at a club with cute girls. I got hired at a golf club with old white men.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. It paid better.
Fitting.
So one of the things I signed up for at Clubs Fest was The Silhouette, which was McMaster University's newspaper.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, I love reading the newspaper. Like maybe I'll get a gig like delivering papers all over campus. Good way to meet people, like get my steps in, whatever. And
You were definitely not tracking your steps back then.
I don't think it was a
Are
thing.
you kidding? You're like, gotta get my 10,000 in.
I also signed up for the campus radio station, CFMU 93.3. I didn't get in with any role with them initially, but a couple days after I signed up for the newspaper, I get a call in my dorm room. The phone rings. I'm like, Mom? She's like, no, it's the McMaster Silhouette.
Do you always pick up the phone, Mom?
Mama?
Do you
They're like-
maybe have some mama issues?
Like, dude, you have call display. You know it's not your mom. And they said, I still remember, it was Kalen Boyle, the managing editor of The Silhouette. And he goes, hey, is this Gurdeep? I said, yeah. He goes, you signed up at Clubs Fest. You said you're interested in the newspaper and you put your interest as sports. I said, yeah, that's what the section I like reading most. He goes, okay. And I'm thinking, again, I'm going to get a gig in the newsroom, maybe collating papers or just doing something.
You gotta collate?
Well, I could learn.
Nobody knows how to collate.
Run this off to the printer. So I thought, okay, they'll give me something, right? I'll get involved. And he goes, as it turns out, a lot of our sports writers were in 4th year and they graduated. We have a dearth of sports writers right now. Do you write? And I go, I was going to lie, but I was like, no, we didn't have a paper in high school. I didn't write. And he goes, you've never written for a newspaper? I go, no. And he goes, okay, well, we're desperate, basically. So he goes, we don't have writers. And it's the first week. He goes, I'm assigning you men's tennis. You're going to write a story. This is where you go. This is when the match is. This is what you need to do. Watch the match, interview the players. This is how many words I need. I think it was like 700 words. It's due like Monday. The paper comes out every Thursday.
It's almost like a test, though, right?
Basically. And I'm like, I'm new on campus. Imagine this huge university campus. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going. And go find this tennis court, watch the match, interview the players, write a story, get the quotes, put it together, submit it, thinking there's no way they're running this, right?
Can't bring your mom with you.
Can't bring my mom with me. I was very much out of my comfort zone. And I get a call back in the dorm room on Tuesday, and it's Kalen, and he goes, "Yeah, did you write before?" And I said, "No, I never wrote. Like, we didn't have a high school paper." And he goes, "You never wrote anywhere else?" I go, "I like English creative writing and stuff," which I was always pretty good at. He goes, "Okay, well, your story's really solid. I'm making minimal edits. It's going to run." I'm like, "It's getting printed." He goes, "It's getting printed with your byline." And
not
he goes,
in the silhouette.
In the silhouette. And he goes, "And I'm assigning you women's rugby next week. Here's where you need to go." Okay. And so I found, and maybe this speaks to my ego, my favorite day of the week in first year was Thursday, because that's when the papers would hit all the newsstands all over campus. I'd go and I'd grab a paper and I'd flip to the sports section and I'd find my article. I'd see my name in print in the byline. I'd read my story. And I'd walk around and you'd see people reading the paper and I'd be like, "What are they reading sports? Oh my God, that guy's reading my story. Does he know I'm the guy who wrote it?"
That's so cool.
You kind of get high off it a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And so I quickly had a weekly assignment for first year. It started taking up a lot of my time. Some of the other clubs I signed up for, drama, this, that, I'm like, I don't have time for these. So I whittled it away just down to one. And I'm doing that every week. Then second year, they assigned me the men's football team, which is like the biggest team on campus. And now I'm traveling with the team, going to cover games all over Southern Ontario. My stories are now getting front page coverage because Mac had a really good football team.
You made it to the front page.
Front page.
Oh, your parents must have been so proud.
They were pretty proud because
Yeah.
it's a tangible thing. I'd take them home copies every
Yeah.
time I'd go home, and my mom would save them. And then in third year, the sports editor was like, "Look, I want you to apply for the assistant sports editor role because the assistant sports editor is graduating, and I need an assistant. And you're reliable. You write every week. You're trustworthy."
And this time they didn't say they were desperate.
This time they weren't desperate.
Yeah.
I had to go in for a job interview, and this gig, Pooj, was 30 hours a week. Can you guess how much it paid?
Oh, gosh.
It's a paid student union job.
Was it like minimum wage back then? Was it like $6.85?
Wish it was minimum wage. I got paid $112 for the week. It was 30 hours, and I was thrilled because $112 in university is bar money. That's pizza money. I thought it was rich. I'm like, I don't have to spend this is great. So that was 30 hours a week. And then I started a job at the campus radio too, 93.3 CFMU, turned me down in first year. I was then on hosting a sports show. Fourth year, the natural progression, the sports editor graduates. I take over the whole section. Now I'm the sports editor. It's 40 hours a week and $127 a week. Little raise. Now I can
get
order
that extra drink at the bar.
Yeah, now I can order not the crappiest whiskey at the bar. I can order the slightly nicer one. So by fourth year, I was taking like a part-time course load because I was spending all my time at the newspaper and the radio. At this point, I transferred majors I got out of business, and I was in mass media, communications, and sociology, double major. And I go home Christmas of fourth year, and I put together a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and I just started listing off 30 places that I would love to work at. I'm talking newspapers, radio station. This is 2005. Newspapers, radio stations, television stations, magazines. And I list them in order of the number one choice all the way down to 30. And this is 2005, Pooch. So like Twitter's not out yet. Facebook's young. There's no Instagram. Finding contacts for places and people is not as easy as it used to be.
Oh, you literally had to make cold calls, right? This is an assignment I actually had in school where you had to call a bunch of different stations and then like write down all the contact info, find out who the news director was, just so that you knew who to send your resume and demo reel to.
Can you imagine young people doing that now?
No way. Talking?
Definitely not.
Holding a conversation?
Cold calling probably terrifying. Yes. So, and again, this is where a bit of the luck comes in. So it's a law of averages. I'm a firm believer in the law of averages. Whether you're asking out a girl, ask out 10 girls, one will say yes, or trying to get a job, I reached out to 30 places. I think I heard back from 8. I got interviews at 3. And this is where the luck comes in, Pooch. I kid you not, the 3 places that agreed to give me interviews in person on my list, 1 to 30, were choices 1, 2, and 3.
Come on.
How does that happen, right? And
so you'd be happy with any one of those?
Yes. And so the choice, I'll tell you, it was TSN, it was the Score television network, and it was the Hockey News, which was my favorite magazine as a kid. So I go into TSN, they made me do a sports quiz, do that, and they're like, okay, they interview you, what do you want to do? I sheepishly told them, like, I want to be on air one day, and they kind of laugh because everybody wants to be on air. Mm-hmm. Do the sports quiz. He goes, great, when do you graduate? I said, April 17th. That's my last exam. He goes, great, you're starting as a story assistant April 18th.
On your birthday?
On my birthday. So
What?
April 18th is my 20-year anniversary of being in television.
Wow.
Yeah. And so TSN I was flying. I called my mom on the way home. I go, Mom, I just got a job at TSN. I drove back to Hamilton to my housemates. I'm like, guys, I got a job at TSN. I'm still in fourth year university. Then I go I'm walking on Queen Street West. I think I've told you the story before. I saw Steve Coolius, who used to be, and I just yelled, Coolius! This was in second year, and he gave me his business card, and he said, follow up when you graduate. I might have a spot for you interning on the show. So I emailed Coolius, and he's like, yep, come on in, intern for Coolius. So now I've got a part-time job at TSN as a writer, an intern for Steve Coolius at The Score. So I've got choices 1 and 2. Now I'm like cock of the walk, walking into Hockey News all confident, thinking, I'm going to nail this because I'm a writer. This is a magazine. This one's in the bag. And I sit down with the publisher, Jason Kay, and I say, hey, here's all my writing samples. I've been writing hockey for years. I'd love to come in and write for the Hockey News. Been reading you guys for 20 years. And he goes, love your writing samples. This is great. He goes, we don't have room we don't do interns though. Sorry. And we don't have room on staff. So thanks anyways.
Oh.
And I go, well, why don't you do interns? It's free labor. And I'll work on your schedule. And as I said that, I could see the wheels turning in his head. I could see him asking himself, why don't we do interns? This is print was really going through a tough time. And he goes...
And you can't really do that anymore.
No.
Right? Those days are over.
And so I talked him into hiring me as an intern. And if you look at the masthead, I was the first intern ever at the Hockey News back in 2006. So now graduated, and I have 2 internships and a job, the Hockey News, The Score, and TSN. And that's how I got in, finding the line between being a pest and being persistent, and a little bit of luck, meeting Coolius on the
Playing
street.
the numbers game, as
the
we've
law of
learned.
averages. That's kind of how it all worked out. And then started on air in 2007, did Rogers Cable like you in Mississauga, hosting a morning show. And then got my big break at CB24 in 2009, which is when I met you. And if you want that story, link to our last podcast exclusive, When Pooja Met Gurdeep, because we basically pick up the story from there.
Yes. Wow. I mean, I think what I get from the entire thing is that it's not like a straight line, right?
No,
There's
not at
so
all.
many pivots that you have in your career before you even get to where you want to get. And then even then, when you get there, do you think anybody would have thought that after we worked on morning television for as long as we did together on a #1 show that we would leave for radio?
No.
Even that, I don't think anybody saw coming.
People thought we were nuts, but now we're having more fun than we've ever had before, and we get to sit down and tell long-form stories like this that hopefully you're enjoying.
And we get to love our jobs even more.
Love our jobs and job our love. Hey, and if you like what you just heard, follow, rate, and review the Pooja and Gurdeep Show podcast wherever you listen. It does us a huge favor, and it's all we'll ever ask of you. Thanks so much.